Yeah. Your boy DL47 out here for real all day, revisiting as much rugby league information as possible. Looking at DL47's rugby league stats, and so you don't miss any crucial rugby league information. Watching this video all the way through to the end as per always. So, right now, we've got the final of Newtown's 3 consecutive wooden spoons in the late 1970s. This is Newtown's 1978 wooden spoon in the Australian Rugby League. Only tiny little bit margin better than the 1977 wooden spoon, but still horrendous and still mildly wretched in its own right. So let's go. So, said already, in 1977, when Newtown got the wooden spoon, they managed only 2 wins and lost 20 of the 22 games. Well, this time in 1978, they managed 2 wins, had 1 draw, and lost the other 19 games, only the time a little bit better. And also said in 1977, Newtown had scored only 254 points, but conceded 604 points during the season, before and against minus 350. Well, this time in 1978, they scored only 199 points and conceded 577, so the for and against minus 378, so similar. Astronomical negative for and against there. And also said in 1977 the point scorers got measly, meagre returns, and they did again in 1978. So Newtown's point scorers in 1978, we had Phil Sigsworth, who got 5 tries and 12 goals, which was a total of 39 points, because tries were 3 points at the time. We had John Rebo, who got 12 tries and 6 goals, which was a total of 48 points with 3-point tries. We also had a player called Mike Kermode, who got 5 tries and 19 goals, 53 points to be their leading point scorer in 1978. But with Mike Kermode, this was the only year he ever played first grade rugby league. Was never seen or heard from again before or after this season in 1978 for Newtown. So at least did a little something for him to be their leading point scorer. And obviously, I just said John Rebo got 12 tries for him. He was their leading try scorer with those 12 tries. So at least I had one player who got to double figures tries for them. At least had one player do something in the try scorer department. At least John Rebo and Phil Sigsworth, of course, after this wooden spoon, they went on to have long and successful careers throughout the 1980s. But in their early days, they unfortunately got this wooden spoon right here. So the moment in the sun, the 1 draw and the 2 wins they had. But before we get to that, I said in 1977 how Newtown somehow won the first and last game of the season, but lost exactly 20 consecutive games in the middle of the season. Well, this time they went the first 15 games of the 1978 season without a win. The first 15 games, they've lost 14 and just had 1 draw. So not quite as horrendous as losing 20 straight games, but it was approaching it. So the only point they got in the first 15 rounds, the round 9 game in 1978, they managed to get a 6-all draw with St George. And it wasn't until round 16 where they finally broke through for a proper win, beating North 26-18. And in round 21, they beat Penrith 18-7. People who are new to rugby league would have seen that Penrith have, of course, won the last 3 competitions these days. Could possibly win a 4th straight competition this year, maybe not. Back then in the 70s, that was definitely not the case. Back then in the 1970s, Penrith were rooted to the bottom of the competition table, and so were North Sydney. They were nearly as bad as Newtown in the 1970s. So the only 2 games Newtown actually won in 1978 against 2 of the other struggling teams. So then, the most embarrassing moment came in the very last round, round 22, which my man who watches all my videos and comments on the rugby league history, I said to him already he'll be a fan of it because Parramatta beat Newtown. But before we get to that one, now I normally only do the one most embarrassing moment, or there was actually some very embarrassing moments as well in 1978. A lot of games in 1978, Newtown had conceded 30-something or 40-something points in defence, and obviously because tries used to be 3 points back then, if tries were 4 points back then, when they were conceding 30 or 40-something points, they obviously would have been conceding 40 or 50-something points with 4-point tries. So, Newtown's very embarrassing losses in 1978. In round 2, they were thumped by Balmain 39 points to 5. In round 3, they were thumped by Manly 44-17. In round 11, they were thumped by Parramatta 35 points to 6. And it gets worse. In round 13, couldn't get a single point and were thumped by Balmain 37-0. In round 18, for the second time in the season, again couldn't get a single point and were thumped by Cronulla 44-0. And then in round 20, were thumped by St George 39 points to 8. But then, round 22, the very last game of the season, pretty much sums up the 3 straight wooden spoons. Believe it or not, an absolutely inconceivable scoreline of Parramatta 62, Newtown 18. I repeat, 1978 round 22, Parramatta 62 defeated Newtown 18, and somehow Parramatta managed to get 14 tries past them in the one game. With 4-point tries, that would have been 76 points to 22. We would have seen 98 points in one game if tries were 4 points back then. But still 62 points to 18 as it is. That's obviously bad enough as it is. And that's the most embarrassing moment by Newtown in 1978. After this, they only existed 5 more years. They eventually dissolved and went bankrupt at the end of the 1983 season. They were meant to merge with West for the 1984 season, but it didn't happen. West stayed alive and they didn't. And at least over the last 5 years of Newtown's existence, they did at least avoid the wooden spoons. 1979 up to 1983, didn't get any of those spoons. And in 1981, they had the one great year, the one last hurrah, the one swan song. In 1981, Newtown made the grand final, where they eventually lost to Parramatta 20 points to 11. But at least they made that grand final. At least they had the one great year to celebrate, with players like Tommy Rodonicus, Brian Heverington, Graham O'Grady, people like that in the team. But 1976, 1977, 1978, 3 straight wooden spoons by Newtown. In my opinion, right up there with Parramatta's wooden spoons when they got 6 straight spoons, 1956 to 1961. Right up there with Western Suburbs wooden spoons in 1998 and 1999, which we'll obviously get to eventually. And right up there with University's wooden spoons, who picked up 10 wooden spoons between the years 1920 and 1937. Thank you so much for watching all the way through to the end so you didn't miss any Quiz Rugby League information. Thank you for brutal continued support. Your boy all day, D47.